Hello and welcome everyone to the Masterstroke Saturday webinar, 6 p.m. 25th of November 2023. My name is Brijesh Dalmia, and today I'm going to talk about I will not compete. Let me share my presentation, short talk, 10-15 minutes, and let me know about my talk today. All right. So the topic today I chose to speak about is I will not compete. और आप सोच रहे होंगे ये क्या टॉपिक हुआ? कंपटीशन तो इंपॉर्टेंट होता है लाइफ में. One must compete. Yeah, survival of the fittest. But here I am talking about I will not compete. And I have only 3 or 4 slides, and I will talk about it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever time I take. Let's start. So this is a very famous statement. If you win a rat race, you are still a rat, unknown. Powerful statement. And I want to begin my talk with this preface. If you win a rat race, you are still a rat. So decide what you are competing on, which race you are running. This is very important because if your race is not the right race, you will end up winning and losing. So maybe you can win the race, but you will lose in life. And we all need to go beyond the race. And that is what the message of this program is all about. If you win a rat race, you are still a rat. So start thinking about this right now. Are you in a rat race? What are you competing with? Whom are you competing with? Is your goal big enough? Let me know in the chat box if you agree to this statement which I'm making here. We compete with people who are like us. We do not, I repeat, we do not compete with people who are 10x or 100x better than us. Consider yourself as a mutual fund distributor and think about this for a moment and write in the chat box, you compete with your fellow mutual fund distributor or a distributor who is 10 times bigger than you. My suggestion is that, my thought is that we compete at our own level, not much below, not much above, more or less 10-20% plus minus. For example, if your AUM is 50 crores in your city, you compete with other mutual fund distributors who have 40 crores or 60-70 crores of AUM. Is this right or not? Let me check if you are mentioning any comments. Yeah, so your answer is correct. And I want to give you this message. I want to give you this message that don't do this competition with your fellow MFDs. It is too small a competition. Let's say your AUM is 50 crores. When you find a mutual fund distributor who is 500 crores, you don't compete with that person. You take that person out of the competition as if they are of a different breed. And this is the mistake we all do in our life. हम टारगेट बहुत छोटा लेते हैं, हमारा विजन बहुत छोटा होता है और हम अपने अगल बगल के सामाजिक लोगों के साथ compete करते हैं. In financial asset, you don't compete with Tatas and Birlas and people with hundreds and crores and thousands of crores of asset. हमारे दृष्टिकोण में वो बहुत ऊंचे हो चुके हैं, उनसे क्या compete करना. अगर मेरी फाइनेंशियल एसेट 1 मिलियन की है तो मैं 2 मिलियन वाले से compete करता हूं, not 10 million, because it is impossible to beat the 10 million. We think like that. My message to you is that if you keep competing with people who are like us, you are not going to go ahead in life. Instead, you need to be inspired by people who are much above you in life, who are 10x and 100x better than you. You should have the benchmark in your life, both personally and professionally, to be inspired by people who are 10x and 100x better than you. Stop competing with people around you. If you have this habit, then One lifetime is not sufficient to overcome competition. At every X, you will compete and your life will be over. So you are going like this, straight line. My suggestion is that go like this, eliminate the competition. There was a book, Blue Ocean. I read it 15 years ago. There is something called Red Ocean, something called Blue Ocean. Red Ocean, there is competition, and Blue Ocean, there is no competition. And I will tell you what are the things you can do personally and professionally after a couple of slides, which can help you grow personally and professionally. But the message is very simple. Let's talk about one example, which I have been giving in the last few meetings. Please read this. This is from Arnold Schwarzenegger on his attitude during 1979 Junior Mr. Europe competition. My confidence came from my vision. I'm a big believer that if you have a very clear vision of where you want to go, then the rest of it is much easier because you always know why you are training 5 hours a day. You always know why you are pushing and going through the pain barrier, and why you have to eat more, and why you have to struggle more, and why you have to be more disciplined. I felt that I could win it, and that was what I was there for. And this is the statement I want you to focus on. I was not there to compete. I was there to win. And this is the key message. And I'll now give you some examples of how you can have this mindset attitude in life. You should not be there to win your fellow mutual fund distributors. You should not be there to compete. You should be there to set the benchmark. This is my last slide. And I will take some moment to explain you what I mean by this. You should compete with yourself. You should take personal challenges and you should get inspired by people operating at 100x level. The moment you get inspired by people who are 100 times better than you, professionally, personally, and whatever benchmark you have, you stop competing in this world because now your vision is far bigger than people around us. This is a mindset, okay? I will speak about a quote of Bill Gates that people are very short-sighted. They think about 1 year and 2 years. They do not think about what can be achieved in 10 years. Bill Gates says, goals are not achieved in 1 year. Many of us have goals for 1 year, and it is an optimistic goal. It is difficult to achieve that goal. But these people only do not know and understand what can be achieved in 10 years. They do not set a target big enough for 10 years. The summary of his quotation is, it is difficult to achieve in 1 year, but you can multiply your achievement in 10 years. That is how long a decade is. So my point is, stop competing on 1 year basis. Stop competing on 10 crores AUM basis. Think about a decade. Think about how you can transform your life. Think about how you can grow 100x in 10 years. Bill Gates says it may not be possible to grow 2x in 1 year, but you can grow 100x in 10 years. That is what his message is. Let me now give you some examples. What kind of personal and professional challenges you can take in life rather than competing your fellow distributor, your relatives, your uncles, your aunties, your friends, and you stop competing with them on financial assets, on social status, on their income, and other things. For example, take on personal challenges. You can take up your own personal challenge that this is the time I will wake up every morning. And if you do that, this should be good enough for you to be happy in your life that you have accomplished this. It doesn't matter who is waking up when. Another personal challenge you can take up without competition is that I am responsible for my health and I will manage and take care of my health. And if you have a good health and your waist size is under control, you are eating good, this itself takes you beyond competition. How many times you have felt inspired by a fellow MFD who is keeping good health and taking control of his body rather than his AUM? Many times. So even if you have bigger AUM, you are inspired by people who have a good health. So you should compete on good things. You should take personal challenges which can improvise your life. Another challenge that you can take up is that how can you appreciate other people genuinely without expecting it back? Another challenge you can take up in life is that, am I reading enough? Am I reading an hour every day or 2 hours every day? I will tell you something. Rather than competing with other people, you should inspire other people with your habits. For example, think about this. If you come across a person, a relative, a friend, or a mutual fund distributor who reads 2 hours every day, what is the feeling you get? Can I have a one-word answer in the chat box in the next 10 seconds? अगर आपका दोस्त, आपके फ्रेंड्स, आपके रिलेटिव्स और दूसरे म्यूचुअल फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर आपका 200 करोड़ का AUM है, द फ्रेंड्स AUM is 100 crores or 50 crores, but he reads 2 hours every day. Are you not inspired by that person irrespective of the AUM? You are delighted. You respect the person who read more. So this should be your challenge, that how can I inspire the other person rather than competing the other person? Another challenge that you should take up is that you should keep silence. For example, people who read one book mentions it 100 times. And please write in the chat box, I want to see the opinion. Am I right or not? Just write yes or no. Yes, if you agree with me. People who read one book will quote 100 times about that book on social media, personal discussions. But people who read 100 books will quote it only once. So you should take up a challenge in life that if you read, you will not talk about it. People who don't read, talk about it. Okay, what else? On the professional side, what you can do is that if your SIP book is 50 lakhs and your colleague's SIP book is 75 lakhs, you should not compete to beat 75 lakhs in the next 6 months. Rather, you should set yourself a target that I have to achieve 5 crores of SIP book. Go 10x level. Don't think about 20% competition. Another aspect where you can work from is that you know that some of us have conflict of interest in our business and profession. You should lead by eliminating conflict from your mutual fund distribution practice and let other people get inspired by you, irrespective of what AUM you have. But you can do this business a little better with zero conflict of interest with your clients, and you're always giving the best advice to your client. That way, you don't compete with anyone else. The other people will get inspired from you. I will close by mentioning the last example, which if somebody is in the Masterstroke Club, they will relate with this. The art of thinking clearly. So let's say you are trying to, pitch a product to the client. You should think about it. If as an investor, which product you will buy, and will you sell that product to your client if you will not buy the same? For example, the discussion was on Sukanya versus a hybrid mutual fund scheme. The discussion was that if you invest for 10, 15 years in Sukanya, you will get 7, 8%, whereas in a hybrid equity fund, you can get 12%, 13%, 11%. So why should not one invest in a hybrid fund? So I gave some example that's not always about returns. First of all, debt and equity cannot be compared. And secondly, you have to give a premium to Sukanya for 1% of tax benefit, because in hybrid mutual fund, you pay 10% tax. So Sukanya, if the return is 8%, it becomes 9%. Then there is a guarantee of return, and there should be a premium attached to a guarantee of return rather than a hybrid mutual fund, which doesn't have a guarantee. So Sukanya premium gets 2%. And finally, it is backed by Government of India. So there is an additional premium you should apply to Sukanya. So probably Sukanya is worth 11%, although you are getting 8% in your bank as compared to hybrid mutual fund. This is called the art of thinking clearly, that the difference is only 0.5% or 1% between Sukanya and hybrid mutual fund, and you cannot compare both the products. Now, different clients can invest in different products, and of course, you can recommend hybrid to some of the clients with Sukanya, but this is just an example how you can eliminate competition in your life by learning the art of thinking clearly. If you spend your time and life competing with people, you will be short-sighted. Whereas if you acquire the skills which are required, like the art of thinking clearly, overcoming conflict of interest, reading, learning to appreciate genuinely, managing your health, these kind of things, you will reach the blue ocean in your life. Other people will get inspired and try to follow you. This is a short message I wanted to give you. And with this, I will say thank you so much for watching this. And I will like to have your feedback. Thank you so much. All right, so that's it. So the screen was not moving. Actually, I was not moving the screen. One slide, I spoke everything. All right, thank you. So this was a short talk, and now we will move on